Good day out viewers and listeners there. We appreciate you for joining the virtual reading of the tale of Hexagon City with the author. We will start again from the 6th chapter where we stopped the last time and continue. Chapter 6, Crime Pyramid in the city. In Hexagon City, for us to view the crime pyramid in Hexagon City. As the days of King Ilori were numbered on the throne, and the king looked forward to returning home to rest and get someone enthroned, but there was a rancor that broke out among the citizens of Hexagon City. This rancor caused pandemonium because the kingdom had been impoverished by those who worked with King Ilori. Zones were advocating to go back to what was practiced before King Olademo's reign, that each zone managed their farm produce and resources. Some leaders were agitating that Hexagon City should disintegrate into 6 zones, not even the 3 major zones that existed in the city. The king persuaded the zonal leaders to address the situation to keep Hexagon City as one. Amid this rancor, a group called Complex Boys from the complex of zone in this prime zone emerged and started terrorizing the city dwellers. This group's actions became so unsettling that they became a great security threat to the city. King Ilori ordered the palace guards to go after them and arrest them and curb the activities. 2 wrongs do not make a right, so says the adage. To worsen the situation, other zones again began to form other rival groups, thereby causing security breaches in the city. Even zone had a notorious rational group that emerged, while integer groups called integer boys started terrorizing the old zone, gradually spreading to the city by forming another group called the rational group. The palace guards tried to curb the menace, but were sometimes overpowered. The king ordered the purchase of weapons and ammunition for the palace guards to fight the factional groups that were causing insecurity in the city. The magnanimity of the king could not be appreciated by the city, as the palace guards again used the opportunity to enrich themselves by not buying adequate ammunition to face the challenges. The security situation in Hexagon became worse, and citizens started running away from the city. The rational group was formed by some farmers. This group started clashes with other farmers, thereby preventing them from improving their agricultural products. This irrational group's action brought untold hardship to the city, as food costs became high due to the persistent bloody clashes. The king called the rational boys and pleaded with them to allow peace to reign in the city. You know that the main product of our city is agriculture, and your actions have been inimical to the growth and development of the city, more so that the city is faced with economic challenges, and there's going to be a new kingdom to be enthroned soon. Please bury your ashes and let us live together in peace. I will grant you king's pardon on whatever record, but going forward, I will take decisive action against you, King Ilori warned. The rate of crime became so high in Hexagon City that everybody was afraid to go anywhere anyhow. The king was doing his best to see the city was secure both day and night, but reports from all the zones on a daily basis heightened the tension of the king, who became extremely worried about the daily updates he was getting on the state of the city. On one fateful day, the rational boys faced the irrational boys, and it was very bloody. Consequently, many of the rational boys fled to the even zone. With the invasion of even zone by the rational boys, a village head was attacked in the even zone. A businessman, Adeyemo in even zone, was weeks away during the clash. His kidnap gave the people of the zone great concern. A ransom was paid to the rational boys to secure Adeyemo's release. When the other factional group saw that a leader was kidnapped and ransom was collected by the kidnappers, other factional groups took to kidnapping, which did not go well with the king, who had just a few months left to rule. The palace guards started devising means to see that the people perpetrating evil in the city were brought to book. But there were traitors among the palace guards, revealing the secrets in the palace to the perpetrators. One day, this security breach brought a nasty experience in the palace. One of the deadly groups invaded the palace one day to kidnap the king. They were nearly successful, but for the intervention of Agbola, one of the young palace guards, who was very proactive to secure the release of the king while in the palace, so he would not be whisked away. The news of this attempted kidnapping of the king in the palace filtered to the youths in the city, as they all mobilized to stage a protest against the dastardly act. The palace guards promised the youths that they would never again allow such invasion any longer, either with the present king or any other enthroned king. As the situation worsened, the youths, who were mostly unemployed, now decided to engage in illicit affairs, drugs, and other crimes. Many of them later took to a crime called probability in an attempt to become rich very fast. They were popularly called probability boys. As such, the probability crime became so popular that many of the young ones in school started engaging in this crime, and this influenced many of them negatively by preventing them and also younger ones from studying in schools again. In the face of crimes which Hexagon City was still facing amid security challenges, a pandemic called sequence broke out within even zone at the time doctors in the city were on strike. The king prevailed on the doctors to resume duty, but before they could resume, the pandemic had spread to other zones and even neighboring cities. The local clinics and health centers recorded a total death of 777 citizens. Meanwhile, the king was so disturbed that he had to seek assistance from other cities to curtail the deadly sickness. In fact, to stop the spread to people, the king ordered a week sit-at-home for all the inhabitants of the city. Unfortunately, the assistance received from other cities to help people with the sickness in Hexagon City could not reach those that needed it in time, as officers in charge diverted the financial aid. The city later suffered another casualty of 1,111 citizens. This made the king remove 2 officers directly linked to the fund diversion and ordered their prosecution. The king called on the religious leaders in the city to come and make atonement to their God. There were 3 major religions in the city, namely the Plus movement, the Star movement, and the Circular movement. Unfortunately, some of the religious leaders took advantage of the situation to enrich themselves. Some of them gave false messages to the king that he would reign for additional years and the city constitution would be changed in his honor for his good intention for the city. The king offered them gifts for coming to the palace to appease the gods on behalf of the city. Many of them received the gift, while a few of them, namely Ali, Adeboye, Kumuyi, and Oshuntimehin, refused to accept anything from the king, stating that they are working for their God and not for any material gain. We will stop here today and we continue with chapter 7 next time. We thank you all, listeners, and we appreciate you for joining us in the virtual reading of the Tale of Hexagon City with the author, Kehinde Adenego. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for joining us. We'll see next time.